this how it's supposed
Happy,
to
happy, happy
be?
Monday, Sonder family. I'm seeing some stuff. Okay, Crystal, we're sending you good juju so that you do not get COVID. Or if you get it, it's a light case. I'm so sorry. Some of the weeks are like that, right? We have good weeks and we can celebrate and feel like we did it all. And then some weeks are a little tougher and we're together and we're gonna just kick off a week together and that might help make it a little bit better. But give yourself grace if things don't go like they're supposed to go. That's important. I'm Jennifer Ogilvy. I get to be your facilitator this Monday morning, and my co-facilitator is the fabulous Karen Lovelace, and she is coming to us from California. She is actually at work in her studio, so we are already set for a productive day. She's been there since very, very early this morning. We are both so glad to welcome you. We want to remind you to set your chat to everyone. That's how we'll communicate during our time together. And as a reminder, this is a cameras off event, a mics off event. You can lower the volume if you don't like a song you're hearing or you just want to watch the slides and you don't want to hear me yapping. So this is about taking what you need this morning as we set up. We are each other's accountability group. We're here waiting for one another so that we can set ourselves up to have the best week 30 that we can. But we're also, again, like I said earlier, we're here to support if things didn't go the way that we thought it would go. As we reflect on last week, we're filled with grace for each other and for ourselves. A really quick shout out to our stickers. Just that reminder, if you are on the fence and you're trying to think about, do I want to do it? Now might be a good time to go ahead and get those ordered so that you've got the August stickers ready to try out in that August journal. I got my August journal last week. Super excited. I love journal day. How about y'all? When the it's just like that's my self-care when the post my little mailbox has that little journal waiting for me and ready to start a new month. I just love that postman day, postal carrier day when my journal says, "Hello, I'm here. I'm with you." There are those community guidelines that we share together. Is there anyone here for the first time? Drop a me in the chat so that we can give you a big welcome. We do want to make sure that you have taken time to look at those community guidelines because we are all about setting up a safe community whenever we're with one another. We do have some newbies, so welcome, welcome. I love that you are here. We make this appointment with ourselves. And so most of the people who are gathered here know exactly what they're going to do in their journals, but they make this appointment so that they can have that consistency with making this tool work in their life. So for our brand new friends, you are invited to use this journal just as it comes, but we are also going to show you lots of ways that you can repurpose to work in your life. And then again, there's lots of sharing that happens in the chat. So if you have a question of our other Silk and Sonder family members, drop that in there. How do you stay with it? Or what's your favorite part? Feel free to drop that kind of stuff in the chat so that we can answer. And again, just that reminder, make sure that you see in your chat, it says your name to everyone. If it says to host and panelists, then just Karen and myself will see your message, which is fine, but we do love to share. And oh, we've got a couple of birthday people this week. Happy birthday. My goodness. Lots of birthdays. So we've got this week and next week to kind of finish embracing this idea of our monthly theme of curiosity. Remember that those themes are the way that we get to know ourselves better and found this wonderful little slide that you might want to grab a screenshot of Or, I always sit with my phone, take a picture. That's a little pro tip. If anything speaks to you today, capture it so that you can refer to it later. And remember that this time together is being recorded and you'll be able to access it on our YouTube channel. And Karen will be sharing all those links as we wrap things up this morning. But I love this little article, little fun graphic about 7 daily activities that you can do to help yourself stay curious. We know that that is so good for our brains to constantly be learning, taking time to run through the possibilities of things, go on a walk. That's so empowering for your brain. Do something creative like draw or sketch, spend time with your journal. I love go down a rabbit hole about a new subject. I am so guilty about going down that rabbit hole and spending way too much time, but yet research shows that when you are engaged in trying to figure something out, it's just so good for you. I've been sharing this at my weekly setups about our life lessons from Curious George about being curious. And then, of course, that great quote that we learned in Ted Lasso. Any Ted Lasso fans out there? About being curious, not judgmental. And I had shared, I think at the first week, I found out that that quote has been attributed to Walt Whitman. And I dug around a little bit, and there's not a whole lot of evidence that says he said that. So I used my curiosity to find that out. So we'll start our day with our curiosity mind map. Now, if you're here for the first time, I'll do a little explanation of that in just a second. You don't have to catch up, but a mind map is a bonus prompt that you get for coming to these weekly setups. Then we're going to do our rosebud thorn reflection and do our weekly setup pages. Stella, I'm glad you tried again and you got in. Welcome, welcome. I do need to let you know, I know sometimes you guys are not receiving the emails and the reminders and those link and all that kind of stuff to get to these socials. And headquarters is getting ready to have an iteration to be able to launch from the Silk and Sonder website. So just know headquarters is very well aware of those difficulties that you've experienced through Eventbrite, and they are working on some new things. And then you can also add these calendar links to your personal calendar to remind you. So just a couple of pro tips. We are working on that because, we know it's not working for you. So we've been looking at different ways to embrace curiosity. So each week during our mind map, you receive a bonus journal prompt. This is not in your journal. You're going to want to turn to that notes page or do it in a separate journal or a scratch piece of paper or that scratch pad for your weekly setups, wherever you like to do that. And we are on week 4. So there are the other I'm sorry, we're on week 3. There are the other 2 prompts that we've done, and I will come back to these for those of you who might wanna catch up to week 1 or 2 and use those as some curiosity considerations. But this morning, we are looking at thrill seeking through that lens of curiosity, and our prompt is recall a time when you sought out an adventure or you tried something new and exciting. What motivated you to take that risk? And describe the emotions you experienced before, during, and after the event. And how did this experience satisfy your curiosity? And what did you learn about yourself in the process? And I love this quote. Lucy says, I'd rather regret the things I've done than regret the things I haven't done. And so my mind map is kind of over there in that upper right corner. That's how I set mine up if you are joining us for the first time. Here are some things to think about as we discover that thrill seeking, that part of us that enjoys trying new things or that we push ourselves to try new things. I want to remind you, you get to decide what an adventure is to you. It may be jumping out of an airplane, which is something I will never do. My best friend did. I'm not gonna do that. Karen shared with me this morning, she's done that. So, that's an adventure. Ugh, I couldn't do it. So you get to pick what is adventure to you. It might be trying a new food, putting yourself out there. And then you get to define what is excitement. What brought that excitement to you? What does that look like? And how does that feel? I put in those little fancy little scrolly looking cursive down here. These are the emotions that I pulled up when I thought about some of the things that I've done. I was left feeling playful, a little lighthearted. I was scared to try something. I did share with Karen, I've done a couple of scary things that I pushed myself. I did a ride along at Texas Motor Speedway and hit 165, and it was amazing. Um, I was worried. I was proud of myself. I had pride when I finished. I was happy. I was reassured that it's okay to take those risks. My mother is a very timid, cautious person to the point where it freezes her. And so I've tried to live my adult life with that mindset. I was brought up in that kind of household, and I push myself because my natural go-to is just feel y'all know I've shared I'm a worrier. So, kind of thinking about, pushing myself to do things that are not real comfortable, and I'm always so happy with myself when I do that. So, I'm going to go back and forth through these slides while we consider this in our life. I want to know, what is adventure to you? And how do you define excitement, and how did it make you feel? And I'll be back to check in with you in just a few moments. All right. So we have some real thrill seekers out in our community. Hot air balloons. Karen said she took a workshop where she got to blow stuff up, do kind of some pyrotechnics. My husband would love that. He loves fire. Um, Folks have took a class to drive a race car, sailboating, skydiving, whitewater rafting. But there's also some other adventures out there that don't have to be like because like I said, I'm not gonna jump out of an airplane. I'm not gonna bungee jump. That's not me. But maybe pushing yourself to learn something new. It's okay if you're not a thrill seeker. That is part of your essence that we need cautious people on this earth to keep everybody safe, right? That might be your role. So perhaps it's something like what was shared in the chat. Gotta walk and learning how to cook in that and trying this new style of cooking, those things that make you kind of push yourself. Oh, I love that. Learning how to do curling on the ice. It can be as simple as, I'm going to sign up and go to a lecture somewhere and stepping through those doors, or maybe going on a solo date by yourself. That was always something that kind of intimidated me, and I love spending time with myself. So perhaps just eating in a restaurant all alone is a wonderful way for you to embrace that kind of thrill seeking part of you. So think about it. And again, it's all about defining what is an adventure for you. And that's what needs to be embraced. So, thank you for considering this prompt this week. Now, we're going to do our weekly rosebud thorn reflection. And this can be found on page 44 of your journal. If you're waiting on a new journal, maybe you're a brand new subscriber, just do this on a piece of scratch paper. We always like to think about what went well last week. What are you proud of? What are you celebrating? What brought you joy? Those are those roses. And then that moves right into the buds, the things that we might be looking forward to, things that we could be involved in planning. Maybe you have a trip coming up. What is giving you hope and motivation? Maybe things are kind of rough right now, but if you stick through it and you go through it to grow through it, you're going to have some buds in that. You're going to find the things that make the challenges a little bit easier to swallow. And then those thorns are exactly that. What didn't go well? We all have those days. And sometimes the thorns are always there. You might be dealing with health issues. Karen, I'm going to share with you, she had some water damage from the upstairs neighbor at her studio last week, and it has just been day after day after day of trying to get things cleaned up, right? So it's a thorn that's kind of going to be there until all of this can get resolved. And so sometimes thorns are short term and they last a day or a moment, and sometimes they're long term, and sometimes they're just there. Their health, their family situations, and it's important to embrace those thorns and to realize, that's life, and write them down and give that power to the paper and maybe kind of leave it there. I had a pretty good week last week. My brother lives in the Houston area and he was coming up to visit me in the Dallas area, and that got canceled because of the hurricane and the damage he had. And he's okay, they're fine. But there's just a lot of cleanup. And so he ended up here anyway for work, and he's got to stay with us, and I got to see him overnight, and we're terribly close. And that was my rose. My bud is this week. I am looking forward. I have my grandkids. I'm going to be tired, but my son and his sweet wife are taking a little trip. That relationship stuff is important. So we have Camp Grand Happy this week with those babies. And then a thorn is my high school in Beaumont, Texas, is a historic building that no one wanted to take care of. And I watched some demolition on it last week, and it just made me sad. And so that was kind of my thorn. I just dealt with a whole lot of like remembering and feelings, and I love beautiful buildings. That's a weird thing about me. My husband always laughs because I have building crushes. I just love beautiful architecture, and it just made me sad. So that's where I am. I'm gonna stop talking. We're gonna put on a little bit of music. Please share in the chat. Let us celebrate your roses and buds, and let us just surround you with a lot of love as you share those thorns. Remember, what happens in Sonder Club stays in Sonder Club. And I'll be back to check in on you in just a moment. Thank you for taking time, if you had it, to share in the chat. And just know, whether you shared in the chat or not, that we're all sending those good vibes to each other, that good juju. And I did want to point, Chanel said, last week I was so sick. And so that was a thorn, but it was also a rose because she got much needed rest. Like, it made her, there's that thing, like, if you don't schedule time for rest, your body will. And so being sick made her rest. And so it's interesting sometimes that our reflection, each week, sometimes one thing can be all three: a rosebud and a thorn. So there are some really tough thorns there, and I appreciate you guys trusting your community to help you carry those thorns. Thank you for sharing as you were comfortable. Let's go ahead and get going with our weekly setup. Now, I do want to pay a quick visit to that weekly spread. I'm going to just show you a couple of slides. And if you're still trying to figure out how to set that weekly spread up, or you're wanting to try something different, maybe grab a screenshot of this or a photograph, and you can kind of explore ways to set that up. I actually recently have been I do, kind of my daily devotion at the top, and then I do 3 good things. And that's kind of what I've been doing for my setup here. But you can see our Sonder family has beautiful ideas and they can be fancy with colors. You can throw some stickers on there or you can use just pen and paper. It's really what works for you. Here you can see affirmation, the six most, prayer, reflection, and exercise spaces. Someone is tracking what they read, what or listened to, maybe audiobooks or podcasts. And then the gratitude reflection there at the bottom. The one over on the right includes a to-do list and highlights and what they're going to surrender, say no to. And then finally, here's a couple of other ideas for those pages. Lots of folks will say, what is the one thing box for? Maybe, you could consider what you put there. It could be, someone's just kind of doing a word a day, yoga, journaling, booster. So, you can kind of set that up in the way that you want. I know lots of folks who play games like Wordle, they might put their Wordle there, or they might do a word of the day there. So just some ideas to kind of get you spurred on. Maybe you saw something that you would like to include in your setup. So now we're going to be looking at pages 46 and 47 this week. And again, you are completely invited to use these pages just as they are, or you might see something that a Sonder family member has shared that would work in your life. So the first thing we do is we start off with how do we want to feel? How do we want that week to go? When we do our reflection next week, what was the feeling that we ended up because we are trying to kind of manifest that? I found our little word search there that you might want to use for your feeling this week. I'll go back to that one in a minute. We also have these words. And of course, our theme of curious is a great way to frame out your week. So, thinking now about that week, how do you want to feel? What kind of feeling do you want to manifest for the week? Kala says that grace jumped out at her. And there's Dinah says, I need a restart, a fresh start this week. Christina says, serenity jumped out at her. Healthy is right up there at the top. That one is always one that will, jump out at me. Maybe you're going to kind of pick a couple of words depending on the week you're having. I know some people will take a look at their week and sort of assign a word a day, like if there's a big deadline at work, they may put, that they feel peace with that on that day. So I'm seeing, oh, and heal jumped out, healthy, a restart, another restart team. We've got team restart this week, gratitude, empowered, then healthy. Yeah, you can put like a word a day for the week. You could also take our theme in that one space and put curious and then a way you're going to lean into curiosity. Perhaps this week in that one thing box, you're going to look at how you find a little thrilling situation for yourself. Excitement. Yes, the Olympics do start this week. Healthy and energized. Oh, you guys have some awesome word. So we're going to think about taking that word into our goals and our to-dos and our habits. Love this little shout out here to the post-it notes. I love a good post-it note. I use them from time to time in my journal because they can easily be moved from week to week. So you might find that's a really great way of working on those to-do lists. Now you're invited to use them by pulling in your intentions page, the intentions you set on page 9. You could repurpose. The second one there says set the goals through the lens of thrive. That's an old theme. I should have put curiosity there. Look at your previous couple of weeks. Are there some outstanding things you need to do? Or you can repurpose it. You don't have to set goals for the week. Maybe you just have a bunch of to-dos. And you might want to use this space for quotes or a podcast or exploring some topics that you want to know about, going down that rabbit hole we talked about earlier. This person's only going to celebrate their birthday for the week. Now, here are some repurposed ways to use this space. You can see someone is looking at kind of some daily morning routines there in that three goals. There is some rituals that are there in the upper middle, doing that morning self care, just getting all those things done. And so gave themselves that space to check them off, kind of using it as a little habit tracker, but that accountability with a routine. Love the weekly 3 major, self-love reminders. Look at that one at the bottom, it's beautiful. So you can repurpose this space. It doesn't have to be 3 goals, and it might only be 1 goal. It's really, again, reminding you to take what you need. No goals are a way to frame this out. The things that you're gonna stop, you're gonna say no to, you're gonna eliminate because they're no longer serving you. And then maybe you frame these goals around one personal challenge. So you can see the words that folks chose, and then their word of the week is reflected in the goals that they have set. Love that one that's a little garden theme. They're going to harvest and weed out and bloom. And then lots of people like just to do 3 categories and then plug a goal in for each one of those. There's some wonderful examples of that. And as a reminder, while you work on this, I'll go back through these so you can take a little bit of a closer look or grab a screenshot. And I don't know if you guys can hear a lot of noise. I am actually having a new alley poured right outside. I mean, like literally right in front of me. So if it's a little loud, I do apologize. I can hear lots of banging. I hope it's not distracting for you. Okay, you can't hear it. Good. Maybe my mic is only picking me up. Thank you for that reassurance, Kala. And then also thinking about taking those goals, and maybe your to-dos come directly out of those goals, like you see here. And then the to-dos, I've got a little summer energy givers. That's from our Instagram account. If you don't follow Silk and Sonder on Instagram, do that. Loved this crossing things off my to-do list. I didn't do them, but I just don't want them on my list anymore. Give yourself permission to say, I'm just not going to do it anymore. Delete it. Don't worry about it. Here are some hacks for setting this space up with maybe a need, want, hope to do. Again, kind of leaning into that idea of categories. The Eisenhower matrix is a great way to take that long to-do list and then plug everything in accordance to important and urgent, all the way down to not important, not urgent. I can probably drop it or maybe delete it, maybe delay it. And you can kind of give yourself permission to push some of those to-dos away and then prioritize the things that really need to happen. I know several of you say you use this in your careers, or like when you're doing your household kind of frame of mind and what does the house need this week, you use those kind of lists in the Eisenhower matrix, and it works well for you. Here's how some other members have set up that to do section, and then again, use it how you need it. Here's some repurposing ideas. Maybe a to-be list. Maybe you could look at thrill seeking. What are you going to push yourself to do this week? Another shout out to those things to let go of that do not serve you, that not to-do list. I'm a fan of the to-do list, leaving it blank and then just going back and filling in with the things that I accomplished that weren't on the to-do list, but I want to see it in writing on that page. And then there's an example of the not to do list. And I love the idea of do this and don't do this. So that's kind of a neat way to embrace this. And another example of some things to let go of, things not to do. And then we're going to go ahead and take a look at that habit and activity tracker that's there on the bottom of the page. Then I'll put on some music for you to set up this whole page. That monthly habit tracker at the front of our journal, we like to use that for the things that we want to happen most of the days of the month. But the weekly habit and activity tracker can be set up for the week you're going to have. You don't have to fill out every space here. You might only put 2 things. And there's nothing wrong with putting the monthly habits here in that weekly space so that you are kind of double dosing what you see as reminders. I actually, in my habit and activity tracker, put go check monthly tracker so that it reminds me to turn to that page and do those things I had intended to do every day of the week. There are some really fun suggestions over there on the right about some things to do that are easy habits, but that are very beneficial for you. Again, I'll go back and forth between these slides. Here's how some of our Sonder family sets this up. I want to point this bottom left one out. Look at that. Just they're tracking 3 things. They're not worrying about those other lines. They've drawn lines through that. The one above that, they have not set goals. They're just going to track. And I love how they've got their Sonder socials and webinars. They've drawn little half circles to catch those during the week. Um, and again, you don't have to set goals, or if that's something that's motivating you, look at the one at the upper left. There is a number of goal, for those things to occur. You can also just do reflection space here. Someone has just repurposed by putting some paper on top of this. They're going to use it as a reflection space. Um, the one that is on the bottom, look at how they've divided those circles up. So you can see it's a great example. They're going to do the morning meds and morning vitamins, and they're pairing those together. Their teeth brushing, I'm assuming morning and night. So those circles are drawn in half. So just, some different ways. And then please notice the one that's there on the middle right, not tracking on the weekends, just tracking during the days, but giving themselves that weekend to kind of not worrying about tracking. So again, all about the taking what you need. I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to go through all these slides again. Let us know how you set up this page. I'll be back to check in with you in just a few moments. Alrighty, so we've taken a look at page 1 of our weekly setup, and if you didn't get everything finished, it's okay. You've got time. You need to think about what your week is going to bring you. And Crystal brought up a great point. She was sick, and she said, "You know what? I think I'm going to worry about my goals and those habits and stuff a little bit later when I'm feeling a little bit better." And that's what this journal is all about. It is about what you need at the moment, right? And so it's okay to have blank spaces. It's okay to write not feeling it, sick. Just about no one's checking this journal. This is about you. No one's going to grade you. And so you take what you need from this journal. And sometimes that's just Xing out some of the days and giving yourself that grace to know that, I'm taking care of me today. That's the priority. And that means I'm not going to worry about all the to-dos and the habits. So give yourself that permission. Now we're going to jump over to the second page. And what I love about this second page is that these spaces can be used. I'm going to show you lots of examples. Like I'll show you examples for the Mind Body Health Plan, but you may decide to move some of those examples and use something in that meal plan, right? Or you may do your meal plan in the shopping list and only plan the major meal of the day. It's again about designing your pages for what you're going to need this week. Now, here are examples of using that meal plan for food tracking in a different way. So you can see the first one is doing a meal tracker, right? Or a meal planner, just filling in those things that they're eating, drinking, and having for that. The next one looks like the plan of the week, what we're going to have, it's all planned out. And then the one over there on the far right, they're just tracking macros. And so not really worrying about the actual foods, but watching those macros. Maybe they have the app and they're wanting to put that power behind pen to paper, write it in and kind of gauge, if how their nutrition is looking. So there's several ways you can use this meal plan space for your nutrition, but there's a ton of ways to repurpose. Lots of you I know repurpose this space because of those nice little rectangular boxes every day, nice big old juicy spaces. So here's a ton of examples of how you could repurpose this, kind of again. There are times like I'm getting ready to start working on my fall garden. And so I will have a garden tracker in here somewhere with all those tasks that need to be done. It's not there all the time, but it's there like, getting ready for the spring, getting ready for the fall. Here are some perfect examples of ways of repurposing this space. We've been loving the idea of the meal plan for my soul. What are you doing for that? So, little mini journal prompts, some questions and reflections there, looking at your daily wins. Some folks like to use it for appointments. Always love embracing the national day of. If you want to add a little, that's a great way to be curious. Go see what today is. Yesterday was National Ice Cream Day. It's the third Sunday in July, just saying. And we went and had a little scoop of ice cream because we were trying to celebrate it. So maybe that's how you get your thrill seeking in. We had that mind body health plan. This is the space personally for me that gets repurposed the most. You might want to do something fun with alliteration. I've got a big chart here, but I love like Fact or Fiction Friday, leaning into books on Fridays, Mindful Monday. And there's a couple of examples of how, oh, you had cookies and cream, Carly. Thank you for sharing that. If anybody else celebrated, drop your flavor in. I love it. Love ice cream. Um, oh, Karen had it with caviar. I love that. Okay. My body, we're gonna start talking ice cream and I'm gonna get distracted. So here, look how folks have set this space up. Looking at look at that song list of the week. Maybe you're gonna focus in on a song list. The graphic that you see all the way at the upper right is a bingo made with our, kind of that evergreen sticker book that's filled with a ton of stickers. So their bingo is all about pulling those stickers from that pack and creating that fun for yes, we all ice cream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream, right? But you can see love the one in the middle, leaning into fun for the week, and then kind of drew some shapes there and put some ways to be fun. Again, if you're wanting to embrace that curiosity, especially through the lens of thrill seeking, maybe that's how you set the space up. I wanted to share with you, do you see the one at the along the big one, the double one across the top? That is mine. I have been trying to eat more fruits and veggies every week. I was eating plenty, but I wanted different varieties. And so back in June, the first week in June, I started just writing down what I've eaten that would be a unique one. Every time I ate something different, I would write it down. I started off with 9, and then after tracking for 6 weeks, I hit 21 different fruits and veggies for the week, 20 unique to me that I ate, throughout the week. And what is wonderful about that is I was seeing it grow throughout by that pen to paper power. So I'm continuing my eating the rainbow because it's really helped me be mindful of choosing things. I've gotten lots of frozen veggies that I'm roasting up. But it made me be a little more mindful of that goal I have for myself. We also love what how do I feel and what do I need? Their reflection that's at the bottom left. And that can be a starting off the day reflection or an end of the day reflection or both. So again, lots of ideas. And then 7 positive things to try this week. That's a great thing to put in one of these spaces. This shopping list, again, another great spot to repurpose if you need to do that. I tend to put a bingo here a lot of times. My shopping list is on the phone. We have an app that my husband and I share, so whoever is out can pick up whatever's on the list. So I don't need a shopping list. You're welcome to use it as a shopping list. But again, there's a ton of ideas for repurposing this space. Maybe your main meal of the day goes here so that you can use that meal tracker for something else. We love a good bingo. Bingos are fun because you're gamifying something, you're getting some good serotonin and dopamine, the positive dopamine hits when you color those in and feel accomplished. So I love the idea of the gamifying your chores, your tasks, your to-dos. Um, and then you can see folks are tracking, like at the top there, the affirmation and the daily rituals, a weekly bingo. I worked on my good night routine and my good morning routine for a few weeks. So my morning routine went in my 3 major goals space, and my night routine went in the shopping space, and you can see it there down at the bottom right. So I just needed to kind of shore things up. I have trouble with routines now that I'm not working outside of the home. And so that is something I did to kind of shore them up. And then when I felt like I was back on track, I started using them in other ways. And again, just some other great ideas. I always love the idea of the social check in, and that social check in actually inspired me to put a social check in into my monthly habit tracker. And then when I've reached out to someone, I put their initials in that spot instead of checking it off. I think it's important for us to remember to be connected to those people in our life. And that was just a good way for me to track. But again, great ideas for repurposing this space. Maybe you just need the reminder, no, no shopping this week, no unnecessary spending. I always laugh at stay out of the dollar 25 store, just that reminder. And then let's just see that I am loving space. What are you loving at this very moment in time? And for me, it is reading the book called Somehow by Anne Lamott. That's kind of my loving for this week. I'm gonna stop talking. I would love to know what you are loving right now because something you're maybe you tried a new recipe, maybe you found a cute fit that you want to share. Share that in the chat. I'm going to put on some music while you work on this, and I'll be back to check in with you in just a few minutes. And I will scroll through these slides so you can grab screenshots if you saw something that spoke to you. This music is very Olympic-esque. You guys are running with the torch to have a great week, and I'm so proud of you for carving out this time for you for setting up your journal. Meha, you may have seen the email that she sent out. She is doing a founder ask of her community. If you have ever thought about maybe seeking a personal coach, you might want to check this beta version out of this personal coaching experience that Silk and Sonder has developed. It is pretty amazing. You do some really deep digs into your personality types, your Myers-Briggs, your Enneagram. It takes all these different aspects of who you are and creates a self self-care coaching plan for you. And it's just, daily reminders. You'll be able to set things up for how often you want to receive very personalized coaching. And it's available 24/7. You don't have to have an appointment with anyone. And right now, it is, at a 50% off. So if you've thought about personal coaching, wanting to look into that, but weren't sure if you could afford that, this is a very affordable way to access some great information. And again, it's not just random. It takes you will sit for a while you create your profile of who you are and what you need. So want you to maybe check that out. There are those QR codes that we share every week. Karen's going to drop those in our chat as well, the direct links, and you'll receive a follow-up email. Please feel free to post in Sonder Family. We would love in Sonder Club with the Sonder Family so that we can see how you have set up yourself for a great week. You've taken what you've needed. You've left some days, empty while you're getting better or while you're resting. I'm wishing you all a great week, and I'm so proud of you for taking time for yourself and doing this. Hope to see our newbies back at a weekly setup. We offer several during the weekend. Y'all have a great week. See you soon.
I ain't trying to think about all my problems. I'm living now. I'm living now. Hey, I can't sit and worry about the future. I'm living now. Said I'm living now. So put your hands